What is up, everyone? Welcome to another Naughty Egg Draw. I am your lovely host, Jake, and today, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. That is right, we are making a frame-by-frame animation on someone completely disintegrating into dust. So before I fade into dust as well, how about we get into this video? So I started off drawing out the first frame completely to give myself some sense of where I was going to be taking things. After that, I made sure to sketch the last frame out as well to give myself an idea of where I'm going to be working towards. Once I had those two areas filled out, I marked with keyframes about where I wanted the disintegration to end and where it would fall down. So now at this point, I just made sure to turn on the onion skin tool so I could see the last frame underneath, and I just started drawing how Mr. Spiderman here was going to dissolve into dust. Now at this point right now, it's just basically the animatic of this animation, and it's just so I can get the basic timing down for the final animation. I normally advise people at least making a simple animatic before hopping in and just making frames. That way you can have a little bit more control and a little bit more of a consistent scale and timing throughout the entire piece. So even though this is a really simple animation as far as movement goes, it did take me a couple hours to make just this 2-second animation. Mainly because I really wanted the dust to feel very organic, and I hand stippled each dot. Now you can get away with doing this and using a lot more of a smearing or other animation tricks to kind of get this idea down, but I just really wanted to make it feel like he was really disintegrating. You hear that, Avengers? I'm coming for you. You may have taken down Thanos, but you won't stop me. Now at first it wasn't going to be me drawing out Spider-Man, but I was going to just show you guys how to make something disintegrate. But my buddy was like, dude, if you're going to make anything disintegrating in a video, you got to have it be Spider-Man. And to be honest, I agree. Now, sometimes the hardest thing to do when you're doing short animations like this is getting a good amount of emotion out of the character in that time. And in this one, I really only had about 1 second to get the emotion down in the face, since the other half of the animation was just him being a ball of dust. So something I thought would make the disintegrating aspect work a little better for me, at least in Animate CC, was to have it all in its own layer. So the main layer I completely colored in the character. Once it was all colored in, I went in with the lasso tool and cut out where the body would be at that point in the animation. This way, when I started adding the dust effect, I can just edit and erase without worrying about messing up my main layer. And just make sure you have that main layer locked so you don't start working on that other layer and accidentally start erasing things and drawing over your other layers. I've done this way too many times in the past, and it sucks because you can only control Z so many times. Something I wanted to point out as well is that if you're working in Animate CC, you should really take advantage of the tag swatches like these over here. If you create a tag swatch and then you draw on the canvas with it, it makes changing colors down the road so much easier. Say you don't like this red color. All you have to do is double click on that swatch, change the color and save it, and it'll go through the entire animation and change the color for you automatically. That's something that saves you so much time, because back in the day, you had to go in and change every single one of those in each frame by hand. So the way I'm approaching the particles is that I'm having some of it fall to the ground and build up around the feet, but I'm keeping a lot of it suspended in the air because what I wanted to do was once it's all completely disintegrated, I would have it all fall down pretty fast in a more dramatic effect. I also kept the area where his body was a little bit more filled out with the dots so that you could see where the body was even if the body was dissolved in that area. Now, this part of the animation was very tedious, so normally what I do when I am doing something like this is I find a podcast to listen to and just start working. Podcasts work great because it doesn't have any visuals to help distract you when you're working on something, and I like to find a podcast that fits in the realm of the project I'm doing. Like when I was working on this, I found a podcast of some guys just talking about MCU theories. This just helps me keep my head in the game when I'm working on it. Now, this was the point I was talking about where I wanted the dust to drop down fast to the ground. I feel like it made it a lot more dramatic, but playful at the same time. And to add a little bit more effect to it, once it hit the pile, I made it poof out from the middle as if it really came down with a bit of force. It's like a little bit of a squash and stretch, but with dust instead. And then the last thing I did was I just grabbed a color that was just a bit lighter than the color I was using for the dust, and made some random highlighted particles. This helps just give a little bit more dimension to the dust. Now, I don't go crazy with this. This is just to help add a little bit of pop to it. So just go with it sparingly if you do this. But that is pretty much it. Let's check out the final result. Alright everyone, that is it. We got a fully disintegrating Spider-Man. I think it looks pretty cool. If you're just getting into or want to get into animation, I suggest checking out some of my other videos. They're pretty old, they're pretty cringy, but they're still very informative, and I suggest you go to those so you can come back and make your own disintegrating Spider-Man yourself. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video till the end. If you haven't yet, make sure you smack that sub button and hit that little bell button so you guys know when I'm posting videos. And like always, keep drawing, and until next time, bye!